I'm very happy to be here, of course, and I would like to say that whatever you start out with is how you're perceived. So, in a perfect world, everything would have worked. But life is not perfect, so you deal with it and you make the best of it. So I'm very happy to see all of you. My name is Jessica. I've been working with communication and sustainability and climate for the last 28 years. So I know nothing else. This is what I do all days. And I have had the pleasure to learn from many others. So today is about learning from each other. It's not about just sitting here and listening. So what you hear today, you need to take in and also make something of when you get home or whatever you do with it when you leave this room. So from that, I would also like to say that we live in unprecedented times. Never ever have we known so much, wanted to do so much, and also had so many people that needs to learn. And also they need to change. And when Mona asked me, how was it to change? I said difficult. And that was a choice of mine to say it's difficult. I would also like to add that it's fun to change. It can be so much fun to change. I used to have a black belt in shopping, but it was not a sustainable shopping. And it was over 20 years ago. Today, I have a sustainable shopping. This dress is from 1960, so it's over 50 years old. It doesn't show, right? And also, I have sustainability on my wrist here. I bought this at Red Cross, so I help them out. So every day, I always choose to have sustainable clothes. I always choose to do something for someone else, because that's the possibility I have. But it took a change to do that. And I think that change can be fun. I don't have a less fun life today. I have a better life than ever today, because I have changed. And there are so many opportunities, and there are so much things that I can do with the help of technology, with the help of learning from someone else, and also with the help of having an open mind. So that gives me a very big advantage to have the possibility to do that and to work with it. And as Mona said, I do write books. My latest book is 50 Myths About Sustainability, because we have so many perceptions even from the beginning. So now that you have figured out that I am not just some colorful person standing here, I'm going to say it again, because repetition is what you need. My name is Jessica. I'm from Sweden. I work with both municipalities, with the government, with the International United Nations climate negotiations, with the biggest climate campaign in Sweden, written 3 books, have a podcast, and I work as a sustainability coach for big companies. So I work back office, and I do this to help people understand climate and climate change. So that's me. I would also like to know who you are. And we have the possibility, thanks to Mona, to know that, because you're going to train this afternoon. You're going to work with all of these things that you learned today and that you already have brought into this room. You're going to train and educate yourself and show us that. And I so look forward to that. And that's when I'm going to learn more about you. Okay, it's time to wake up to a bright, colorful world, because this world is enormous and it's so full of colors and it's so full of things to do. And that's why I talk about myths. I talk about that you need to push through to really have something to say and really to make a change. And there, you need to really think about how to do that. This is our responsibility. Sustainability is taking about the whole of the iceberg. Here, this is the whole of sustainability. And within sustainability, of course, climate change is, right? Because climate change sits within sustainability. When I started working with the biggest climate campaign in Sweden in 2002, we only talked about climate. Sustainability was nothing to talk about. And before, when I worked in the municipality, we only talked about environment. And then, in the middle of the 2000s, we talked about maybe social aspects. But now we talk about sustainability, and climate is one of the big questions and issues within that. But we often only see the snowflakes, because they tend to just see one snowflake. They don't see the whole of the iceberg. And that's our challenge. How to make them see more of the iceberg as long as they just want to look at one snowflake at a time. Is that a challenge?
Yes.
Are you up for the challenge?
Yes.
Great. Because I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and also some key learnings and some of the insights that I've had the opportunity to get during these 28 years. When I say what I work with, I used to say that I work with saving the world. How many in here saves the world? Well, a few of you, and that's better than it normally. Usually there's one who dares to put up their hand. How many of you saved the world today? Did no one save the world today? Who in here drank up their coffee this morning? Okay, so the rest of you didn't drink coffee or you left your coffee? Did someone throw away the coffee? No, no one wants to do that. Because how many of you had the opportunity to go here by bus or by bicycle or anything like that? Yes, there are some few. The rest of us took the flight. Is that politically correct or not? It can be discussed. How many of you had just a vegetarian breakfast? Yes. All of these things that you did not, when I asked you, did you save the world today? None of you did like, yes, I did. All of you was like, no, I didn't. But yet, I'm sure that you also put up the tap when you brushed your teeth. I'm sure that you already have done something on the internet and told someone about that you're here, you have spread the word. I'm also sure that you're now here and eager to learn more. The opposite of that is just like laying like Mona's cat and do nothing. So by being active, you have actually helped out to save the world. But it's a big world, right? It's super big to say, I saved the world today. That's super big. And that's why I chose to say that this is what I do. Because when you look at it, I was raised in the 70s, so I'm 47 years old. And when I grew up, no, rather way around, when I grew up, it was peace on earth. That was what we were striving for. And peace on earth, do we have that? Do we have peace on earth? No, we don't. Have we given up? No. So, whenever I talk about climate change, people always say like, but hey Jessica, it's not going the right way, so maybe we should just quit. Because, you know, you have been working with this for 28 years. Aren't you done yet? No, I'm not. We're just getting started. And we know that we need to continue to work with this. But we also know that the status of today is actually this. Today, more have it better than ever. We know what needs to be done. All the possibilities are within reach, and we don't have time to be lazy. And everything matters, and everything makes a difference. I started out with a song. I have colorful PowerPoints. I have different text here that's saying a lot. I try to work with everything that is in this room to make you wake up. I'm not going to do everything that is needed for you to wake up, but I try to do it. And you need to try to meet the audience that you have. You need to change everything up. You need to make everything stand out a bit more. And that's why when you look at how people perceive something, you know that if I would have written this in all the same text, you would have, after the second one, not really read through. But when I change the text so that it's different types, you read it in a different way. So I use everything that is in the book on how to communicate to you. And also, I will never have more text than this on a slide, because you won't have the time to read that. If you want to learn today, you should take notes, but you shouldn't write your own book at the same time, because it's not the optional way to do it. So you need to listen, and you also need to write it down. But of course, you will get all the PowerPoints afterwards. They are filming, so it can be seen afterwards as well. Everything that you can repeat is good for you. There are 3 main ways to make a change. All right? The first is what you do. The second thing is where you work. And in here, you all work with climate change and saving the world every day. That's a luxury. Come on, it's fantastic. Look at us. All of us here are working with saving the world on pay time. Every day. My God, it's fantastic to have that opportunity. And just sit in this room with all this knowledge, with all of this power, and to utilize that in the best way. So whenever it feels like a tough day at work, because we have them, we all have them, you just have to remember that my job is to save the world, and I help making the world better every day. What a luxury. What a great opportunity I have to change someone's life, to change someone's mind, and to make a difference for the better in this world. I still get blown away by that, because it's like, oh, great, I have this job. This is my job. I created this. This is what I do. This is my opportunity. And also, what opportunities do you give to others? And here's the thing. You tick all of these 3 boxes. Many people just tick this one. Oh, it's up to me. So now the climate change is mine. Okay, what can I do? But we then work with this, and we also have the opportunity to help others out in this. That's fantastic. So, to be able to tick 3 of these boxes is a really, really, really good thing. Okay, how many things do you think that you are hit by in communication every day? Give me a number. How many things do you think that you get every day? I have an apple to give away. How many? How many?
10,000.
10,000? Any more suggestions? If you don't guess, you can't have the apple. Again?
Uncountable.
Uncountable. So there are many ways to calculate how many different communications you're hit by, or messages you're hit by every day. I would say that you who said that it's uncountable, oh, I'm not going to go there because this one then makes a sound. You have your apple here later on. There is a comparison to say that if you ride 2 subway stations today, you have the amount of incoming messages and communications and visual insights that equals what a person that lived in the 1700s had for their whole life. We have that in 2 subway stops. So we are really, really having to push through with our communication to be able to really make ways in this fog of all of these communication that really puts everywhere. Every single day there are so many communications, and today you're going to hear more than 10,000 communication words and possibilities and opportunities and ways to do this. So whenever you get home tonight, you're going to be tired. But that's the time to really think, what did I remember? Maybe it's just the purple color you will remember, but anytime then, next time you see a purple color, you will be triggered to say, hey, wasn't that about climate communication? I think I remember that. So there is a possibility to use every single way. But you have to remember this, all communication is done on the recipient's terms. This is the worst communication slide ever, and it's done in that purpose. If you have this kind of communication, no one will understand anything, and no one will remember everything. So, you really have to understand that whatever I say, you will hear differently, because we are all different, and we all have different kind of things that we bring into this room. But I'm trying to do it in your terms, the best I can, trained to be at your disposal to really learn. So we're going to talk about what is important. And now it's going to go even faster for a bit of a time. And then I'm going to hold up, and then I'm going to tell one example, and then I'm going to go a bit faster again. So I'm telling you so that you can prepare, right? Because that's what you do when you communicate. You prepare your audience, right? You tell them that soon there's going to be a climate campaign. soon there's going to be something that I want you to do. Or you just stalk them and you just spook them, right? So there are different ways that you need to change up all the time. You can't do the same thing every time. So you need to go beyond the expected. When we talk about sustainability, we talk about nature. And it's always very nice nature, right? Or it's catastrophe nature. We always talk about the great children in worldwide, or we talk about these curves, right? Economic structures. So this is social nature, and it's also environment, and it's also economics. Boring, right? If you do this then, do you have more people listening? If you talk about sustainability, and if you use flat icons, which is one of the biggest communication trends in the world. The biggest communication trend is to make everything into an icon. So if you do that, then you're ahead, right? Maybe, or maybe not. But there's another thing that is really, really good, and it's the global goals. I'm so happy about the global goals because this gives all of us an umbrella to stand under. This gives us a united communication tool, how to talk about these questions. This gives us solutions, this gives us goals, and this also gives us a lot of flat icons, right? Here they are, all of them. And it, for the first time, make global and local together into something that is in trend words called glocal. And that means that everything is connected and gets a context. And I'm so happy about this, because this is the first time that we have one language, one symbol that we can use. Something that we can all stand under, but you still need to tweak it and you still need to make it your own. But it's translated into all the languages, so here's a really opportunity to do this. Also, if you want to have a head start, you should cooperate. We all know that these are fierce competitors. And do you think that they work together? This is a question I would like you to answer. Do you think that they work together? No. Yeah, they do, actually. And the way that they work together is within sustainability. Because they have learned that it's not the best way to do sustainability work on your own. Because it's business crucial to do sustainability work, and it can be really expensive and go really wrong if you don't do it in the right way. So they came up with this idea because they used to buy something that they went out on the market, and they wanted to buy recycled soles for all the shoes. So inside of all of these shoes there are soles that are made out of recycled materials. And of course they make it in low price countries, so they had to compete with the price, and they also had the challenges of how had the workers in that factory, how were they situated and all of that. So all of them had that problem, and also they competed with the price. Then they came up with this idea, hey, why don't we do this together? We all need the same sole in all of the shoes, and then we can build a factory that has the highest standard, that has the best air quality, that has the best salaries, and also that we can keep a steady pace of production. And then they work together with that. So they have built their own factory, all of these three, working together and doing that together. And then, of course, they can be fierce competitors with others, but within sustainability, you can even work together with your fiercest competitors. That's great. It's super great. And we need to remember that, because when you're working with this kind of challenge, we need to be very many who do great things together. Okay, we also need to talk about credibility. This says that can we talk about commercial, and this says that green lies is one of the biggest challenges. How many of you in here has seen something that is a green wash or a green lie or something like that? That's quite few. It depends on how you look upon it. You can look at a green lie like a green lie and say that that's horrible, or you can say that that was a try, that they tried to say something but they failed. It depends on, do you think that they did it on purpose or that they really had clean sleep on this one. But we know that when we do like this, to say that everything is green, that the Coca-Cola is green, this was done, I think, 12 years ago, before the green Coca-Cola came out. So this has now become reality, just to say. But we know that all the electric cars and all the environmental cars, of course, are green. And we also know that you can fly, and it's so green to fly this way that it even comes out flowers from the airplane, right? Because whenever you plant a tree, this is how a flight look like. And of course, this fantastic grill is so green because it has all of these labels, all made up by themselves. That we can grill the only earth that we have. It's so green. So when you do this kind of communication, it's not credible. And if it's not credible, you're going to miss out, because people are smart. They are super smart. So don't try to fool them, and don't try to package anything that isn't really credible in some way that you think that, oh, this will make things happen. So go beyond that. Don't always use a child. In Sweden, the most popular symbol is to use a child blowing at a dandelion like that whenever you're talking about green stuff. It's not the funniest thing. Seen once, seen again, and so on. You also have to take this into, I promised you only one slide, but this is the slide, right? This is horrible. But these are all the words that we usually use every day, and that we think is, oh, it's super simple. We talk about the IPCC, we talk about CO2 emissions, we even talk about CO2e emissions, and we talk about all of these things like it's nothing. We talk about the SDGs, we talk about Agenda 2030 and all of that, because we are experts. We have gone beyond being curious and new in this world. We are experts, so we have this lingo that we use without thinking about it. But whatever word you choose is really important, because it's going to make a change. If you talk about the greenhouse effect or you talk about climate change, is there a difference? Yes, there is. Of course there is. When I started working with this, we talked about the greenhouse effect. No one talked about climate change. It was the greenhouse effect. And that was just in 2002. So remember, language change. You need to get with that, and you need to check. Not with other experts, but with other people that don't know all of these words, so that you keep it on the right level of communication. We also need to make it easy to understand. I had the pleasure to work with all the IPCC that came out in 2007. My role was to make them comprehensible for the Swedish public, and also to help have this communication around this, that it should be simple. So we simplified the United Nations IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They are like 10,000 pages, and we simplified them down to 30. Were we popular? Yes, we were, with the Swedish population. With the experts, no, not so much. Did we bring in the experts? Of course we did. And then we have those experts, and then they could talk to the other experts and say, but you know, they really do know what they're doing. But just remember that. But we need to make it easy to understand. We need to make it easy to understand why it looks like this. And I don't think that curves are the easiest way. I don't think that all of these just can be put up. You also always, when you're talking about a threat, you always need to talk about the solution. Otherwise, you will leave people in despair. You will leave them with an uneasy feeling. And when you talk about solutions, the solution also has to be equivalent to the problem. So you can't just say that, okay, we have climate change, let's make a new bicycle road. Because that's not credible. But if you add on to that with other solutions, then you can always talk about the bicycle road as one of the parts of the solution. Who is most important? This is one of the things I did with the Swedish climate campaign. It's a pamphlet saying what's happening to the climate. It had 10 questions and answers about the climate and about the greenhouse effect, as it was called then. 10 questions and answers. Very easy, right? Okay, so we had 9 questions that was easy and that everybody could be agreed upon. I worked for the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency. We also had 5 others of the biggest agencies in Sweden, and we also had the government breathing down our back to send this out to the whole of the Swedish public. That's 8 million people. So this was going out, and we talked about that climate change was going to make the ticks grow in numbers, because when it's getting warmer in Sweden, we also get more ticks. So when the weather changes, we get more ticks. That's easy to understand, right? But the experts say that it's called vector-borne diseases, right? So we had a battle every day for 6 weeks. I every day had a conference call with the rest of the 5 agencies and all of their experts to say that no, I'm not going to put in that it's vector-borne diseases that is spreading. I'm going to say that it's the ticks. 6 weeks of daily conference calls. I won. And it's really important to remember this. I didn't win by just being persistent. I won by every day telling them why it is important to talk to the audience in their language. Because I know, my mom is a veterinarian. I'm brought up with knowing about vector-borne diseases, but no one else does. So that's not the solution to present to people who want to know more about the greenhouse effect and the climate change. So you need that to be very, very strong to say that this is why we need to change. So you need to have the calculations, you need to have the statistics, and you need to know what you're talking about. It can't be fluff to say, oh, but it's nice, it's about pigs, right? That would not have made the change. But when I came with all the experts, and when I came, they have their experts, I have my experts, so we brought them together, and then we could talk about it, and in the end, I won. Because I found that it was very important, if you're going to send out a leaflet to this many people, of course it then needs to be addressed to the audience. Of course, we also did it in 10 different languages because we are a multicultural society, so it's really great. So we could translate it into 10 different more languages. But you need to focus to make it happen. You also need to think about how tough it's going to be. How tough is it going to be to communicate this? Well, you can go by helicopter to the top, or you can hike to the top. It's different, right? If it's hard or easy then to go there. You also need to decide, are we there yet? Because there are many different tops here that you need to climb. And you need to decide, is that really the top we want to go to? And how to get there. Then we have this, how to do it then. You know who this is? Astrid Lindgren, the Pippi Longstocking. You know what this is, not right, and you know how to really give someone a reward. The 3 best ways to really do this climate communication is to either make it something that's near and dear. That's why Astrid is there. Something that's near and dear, something that goes to your heart. Weather goes to people's heart. So we talked about climate and weather. Did the experts like that? No, they didn't. Did the people like that? Yes, they did. Did they understand that the weather is going to change with climate? Yes, they did. So therefore, it was successful. We can nudge people. We can't fool them, but we can nudge them in a good way. And also, you can reward them. So that's important. We also need to look at behavior or technique. Do we want to go on the bus, or do we want to use a Tesla? Of course, we need to do both with climate change. We both have to work with communication, with the behavior, and also with technique. Who do they see? Do they see you as the slug, or do they see you as this great cat? Climate change, how do you come across? Do you come across as someone who's a green nerd, or do you come across as someone that is really in the forefront and really interesting? You need to think about that, because that is people's perception of you that already sits in the way of what you're trying to communicate. So don't make everything green. Also, what's big and small? When Electrolux did this campaign, they recycled plastic from the ocean, but they forgot to make this more efficient. So when it came out, it was still the same old vacuum cleaner, but smack on, it was recycled plastic on the outside. They had to pull everything back, do the due diligence work, and really come back with a better vacuum cleaner. But when they did, it was 70% more energy efficient. But they forgot about the big thing. They just did the small thing, put recycled plastic on the outside. They were hit with a massive greenwash campaign. Don't lie. Please don't ever lie. That's not a way of communication that is effective. So don't do that. Also, you need to gear up for the right game. Are you playing hockey or are you drinking coffee? Right? When you're communicating this, if you're talking about climate change and you want to talk about that the weather is changing, do you want to do it in a hockey game or do you want to do it sitting around with a cup of coffee? Both can be very equally efficient depending on what goals you have and depending on who you're meeting. But if you come to the coffee break with this, you're going to look like a fool. And if you come to the hockey game equipped with this, it's not going to be the right way. So you need to gear up for the right thing. Okay, also you need to listen and learn from others. This is from the clothing industry, which I have the opportunity and possibility to work from. And this is a way of looking into other businesses, how they do stuff. So don't just look at your peers, look at others to be inspired. How do car companies communicate? How do clothing companies communicate? How do Mars bars communicate? How do Oatly communicate? Look at others. Look outside of your little box to find other solutions and pick the cherries out of that. Take the best things and just chuck the others away. Also, remember that there are many different channels that you can use. You can use gamification, peer-to-peer, activation, transparent. You can be unique or you can be mainstream. But always remember that people want digital and also they want to see the social media. So you can't just choose one. You have to work with everything. That's why I started out with music, because you didn't expect that. And also, it gave something for you to listen about when we had all the technicals like that, right? But that's forgotten now until I remembered you, right? Because my job is to keep continuously talk to you about climate change and how to make something that starts out a bit like that, to then end up with saying that, okay, we talked about that it's going to be technical difficulties, there always is, so therefore there was no music in the speakers, it was just from my phone. Because I know that if I should use the speakers, it would be even more of a mess. So you always need to adjust to what you know from the beginning. You also need to have lust. Us, as communicators, need to have lust. We need to have lust for us and for others because we want to do this, and also we have to engage and evolve. Because sustainability is easy and fun. This is me in a recycling plant, and I love it. It's super fun to work with sustainability. It's super fun to work with climate change. And also, this is the thing. What you and the team need to do. You need to have clarity, to give oversight. You need to have transparency. You need to know what is expected of you. And you also need to know how to have availability, to package it comprehensively. Because all of the two degrees or IPCC or whatever you're talking about, that needs to be comprehensive. You need to list solutions, not just problems, and you need to make it easy to do it fun and to do it right. Because, again, it all comes back to, we take responsibility for the whole of the iceberg. Not just for the snowflakes, but we in here take responsibility for everything. And that's super important. And for that, I would like to say thank you for helping saving the world.